The difference between the heroine's journey and the hero's journey is that in the heroine's journey, it's really about what happens when you're born into a patriarchal society, when you're born into a society that is being driven by men and being driven by the masculine. A colleague of mine who's really a soulful woman named Maureen Murdoch is the one that wrote the book called The Heroine's Journey 20 years ago, and now it's more meaningful than ever. It was like Joseph Campbell wrote The Hero with a Thousand Faces in 1949, and it was 40 years later that it was really kind of discovered. So we'll be going through Maureen Murdoch's version of The Heroine's Journey, but because we just watched this, I want to point this out because I think it's really key that when a woman is born into a patriarchal society, she's born into rage. So, born into rage because you're already being judged for who you are as being female. And so, what we see when she's bringing the dessert onto the table, that's an action of rage. Now, rage and anger are something completely different. Anger is an energy of transformation that helps us do things, but rage is a fractured psyche. And rage needs to be healed. It doesn't go away. Rage begets more rage. What's fascinating about this also is that for men aren't born into rage, but men learn rage when they're lied to about what it means to be a man. And virtually every artist and creative person that I know, men and women, have experienced this. So as a man, as a boy, when you're lied to about what it means to be a man, and that's not who you are, that creates rage. And Cheryl, the mother, is the character that is expressing this rage. And as we look at more clips after the break, we're going to see that rage keeps building inside of her. And what that rage is doing, and what rage does to all of us, is that gets in the way of being nurturing and feeling nurtured. And we see it. Anybody that gets involved in politics and is following pundits, they can easily get into this kind of the state of self-righteous indignation about what's right. And this might get edited out of the video, but I've been to a number of conferences on gender and diversity, gender parity, gender equity, and diversity, a number of them, and I've been parts of panels and things like that. And there's one thing that's been happening that is a product of rage that's getting in the way of having the world be more diverse, whether it has to do with political leaders or women in film or women in the community, whatever it is. And that is that there's a new villain. That is the villain that rage is projecting on. And it's me. It's older white men. And these conferences are amazing, and they're doing wonderful things, and they're starting mentorship programs for young filmmakers, young storytellers. There's a lot of positive things, but there's always a part of the conference in each one that I've been in that it gets kind of boiled down to the enemy is older white men. Have any of you heard any of this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it, though, being labeled as the enemy?
Well, I am an older white man, but the enemy thing is that's not true. Because I certainly understand that women have been oppressed for 4,000 years. You're going to be pretty pissed off. That's a long time. There's a lot of it. But when the rage is coming out, and it comes out in stereotyping who the enemy is never outside. I was saying how everyone is my teacher. It's taken me a long time to realize this because it's much easier to just say, I'm never going to talk to that asshole again. Or, that loser couldn't make a good film, if he had a group of talented dwarves helping him. all that kind of stuff, all these outer projections, and that's why it's somehow really difficult sometimes to talk about the heroine's journey, because in the heroine's journey, any kind of transformation or change that's going to happen in the outer world needs to happen inside first. And it's this journey of learning how to accept ourselves, and not only learning how to accept ourselves, but learning how to nurture ourselves. And as I was saying, learning how to acknowledge that things like our creativity and our intuition and our nurturing and our generosity and especially our empathy and compassion, these are things that we need to acknowledge in ourselves. They're not going to be acknowledged in the outer world. So right now, I don't take that personally, but every white man is not Donald Trump. Because the stereotyping is self-defeating. And so you even say, well, everyone who voted for Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot and a misogynist and illiterate. But they weren't. And you're exactly right. We're going to be talking about rage, because rage is a big part of this whole journey. It's sometimes what starts the journey. But that rage is something that usually is not in the main character. The rage is in the matriarch or the patriarch. And there's rage inside of Cheryl, and there's rage inside of Richard. And it's going to take the whole family to heal that rage.